Hello there, vinyl community and YouTube, and hello there, Ron Haggerty. This is a response to your 400 subscribers contest. Congratulations to these. You're worth every one of them. And you have a contest where you want us to show 4 genres that are a little outside of our norm, what we usually listen to, genres that we actually are interested in but don't listen to all that much to. It was a very hard one to find 4 genres, first of all, since I am a person who is all over the place musically, and I try to keep in contact with more or less everything, at least I like, actually, and then to find 4 albums in these genres wasn't all that easy either, but I managed. And first of all, gonna take a little relax, because this is a genre that I should be listening to more than I actually do. It's very well made and then so on, but I guess it's not enough time, so it's a genre that it's a little bit in the shadow of everything else that I listen to. Don't have all that much records within the genre either. And we're talking about ambient music, relaxed music, and we're talking. I'm trying to find not only Jean-Michel Jarre, because he's by far the one that I have most of course, but there are. I have a few others also. Here is a Japanese musician that I learned to enjoy when I was a teenager, and I managed to find some vinyls with him also. Kitaro, this is Silver Cloud, an album from 1983. Kitaro plays synthesizer, and it's very, very relaxing synthesizer music with a whole lot of Japanese style also. And we have another classic one in this genre, Greek musician Vangelis, and this is Odyssey, the Defined Collection. Vangelis most famous for the music to the movie Blade Runner, and also Chariots of Fire, which is of course in my opinion the best one. But it is an interesting and nice compilation, actually. Now, coming to the man himself, Jean-Michel Jarre, and Oxygen, a real icon in the genre, an album that I love very, very much. I listened to it 100 times. I can listen to it 100 times more. Really love this one. And the follow-up, Equinox. In comparison to Oxygen, Equinox is an album where Jean-Michel Jarre is much more influenced by Baroque music. You can hear much elements of Baroque in some tracks here, in comparison to the much more dream synth-oriented Oxygen album. But I should listen more to this ambient music, but I feel like I don't have the time. So I think it's no one has missed, actually. Have managed to miss the fact that I do enjoy jazz. But and we're talking classic jazz, bebop, swing, big band. But there are jazz genres within jazz also, of course. And in this classic jazz, there is one jazz genre that I not all that interested in comparison to the other one. We're talking about Dixieland music. I'm not going to say that I dislike Dixieland music. I think it is okay, but I much rather prefer to listen to Dixieland music live, to be to be at a place and listen to Dixieland music there is much more interesting than listen to it on vinyl, because I think that it sounds very stale, very uninteresting. It doesn't give me anything to listen to Dixieland music on record, but on live they have a whole lot of different energy in the area, in among the audience, and so on. So if I'm going to listen to Dixieland, I prefer to do it live. But it's normally not my usual jazz style. But I do have some Dixieland albums, or Dixieland-oriented albums. And of course I bought them because I'm also, after all, very interested in early jazz. Interesting is that Dixieland was more or less the jazz genre that made me listen to jazz. When a friend of mine recorded Dixieland orchestra on cassette to me, and I got very interested in that. And today Dixieland is a style that I feel is so-so. But still, I do enjoy early jazz, so I have some albums with Dixieland-oriented music. I started with a musician that I have a weak spot for, and that is Bix Beiderbecke. I think he's a fascinating and great musician with a very sad story. His life was cut short, unfortunately, very early due to drugs. But he was a fantastic musician and made some great recordings, both in this early kind of big band style, dance music, and in Dixieland-oriented style. So this is, I bought this one in Stockholm a couple of years ago, if you remember. Dixieland by Bix Beiderbecke and the Chicago Cornets, recordings from mid-20s. So very interesting stuff. We have Louis Armstrong and Memorial. This is a very early one. One of the earliest jazz records that I actually bought, and I bought it for 20 cents 25 or 27 years ago. I'm not a fan of Louis Armstrong. I have a hard time listening to him singing with that raspy voice. I really have a hard time with that, with some exceptions. And I can listen to Louis Armstrong if it is an early recording with his Hot 5 or Hot 7 bands. Really think those one is kind of interesting. And I think these were one of the reasons why I bought this one. Because this is double LP set, and the first album is recordings from 26 to 31. The other one is 50s recording, that is not all that interesting. But still, I have this one still left. Memories from my earliest jazz days. This is Jelly Roll Morton in a release that is from the same series as the Bix Beiderbecke album. You can see this looks more or less the same, the sleeve. Jerry Roll Morton, very interesting piano player, and this is double LP set where the one of them is his piano solos, and the other one is with his band. It's a different kind of band, so recordings from 23 to 24. And I think that is a very interesting one. Also one that I played, listened to a lot when I was in my earliest days as a jazz lover. But it's actually very interesting, very great one. And This is an album with 2 musicians on each side, 1 musician on each side. We have Fletcher Henderson, which I think was one of the main reasons why I bought this album. And we have King Oliver on the other side. The Fletcher Henderson side contains both recordings from his earliest period, when he was more into what was then New Orleans style, and later on when he almost invented the big band style. On the first side there are New Orleans style music style with King Oliver, cornet player, trumpet player, that I think didn't live all that easy life, but released a whole lot of music also. And it's actually kind of interesting, not all that bad. Not something I listen to every day, but kind of interesting actually. Switching style totally. When I was around, when it was around 25 years ago, maybe 26 years ago, I had a little interest in musicals, and I thought it was very relaxing, kind of exciting music actually. So I have some albums with the different kind of musicals. I still do think it is a interesting genre, but I don't listen to all that much to it. Maybe because it's preferred that you follow some kind of a storyline, and it's a little hard to do that on vinyl. And also another genre, pretty much like ambient, that I don't that has been drowned. But it's in normal doses. It's very interesting and very listenable. We have Andrew Lloyd Webber, a whole lot of Andrew Lloyd Webber here. Evita, and Evita here is played by Julie Covington. And we have more Andrew Lloyd Webber, Phantom of the Opera. Nice double LP set. And we have Aspects of Love. And I think I also have Cats somewhere in the cellar also. This is Rodgers and Hammerstein's South Pacific with Jose Carreras and Kirita Canova. A release from 1986. So, also musicals, maybe it's best if they are watched live, or if you see the entire show instead of maybe listening to it also. And finally, easy listening. I do have a lot of easy listening in one style, as you may know, Hammond organ easy listening. Outside Hammond organ style, easy listening is a genre that I feel is there's some interesting stuff, but also some horrible stuff. You have all these German big band musicians like James Last and Frank Waldor and Max Reger and so on. Max Greger is a classical composer. Max Greger and all that kind of stuff, I think is bad comfort. I think is pretty horrible, with the horns that sound very plastic, and rhythm section. The drummer in James Last's normal recordings, sometimes he sounds like he's sitting way outside of the record studio playing. It's a horrible sound. But there are some exceptions when they have kind of strings and it sounds very relaxing. And one of those exceptions is Edmundo Ross. that is actually interesting, easy listening big band leader. Edmundo Ross plays more or less just Latin music. This is Latin Love In. How fun did they have when they created this sleeve? And that is something that goes through many sleeves on easy listening records. The sleeves, many of them are, well, it makes you wonder, whatever did I think of? More normal sleeve here with Edmundo Ross, The Latin World of Edmundo Ross, Volume 1, containing the wedding samba that I actually think is a real funky and real cool and great one. Here's another example of a sleeve that this is Herb Alpert and the Chiana Brass. This is a record that I got as a contest prize by Jenny B-Sides. Very interesting and great album, but sleeve is... How fun did they have doing this? And it's also here have an example, a Hammond album in easy listening style. This is beyond far the most interesting albums that I have with James Lust. Hammond A Go-Go, a Hammond series that he did in 4 albums, I think, and I have all 4 of them. The first 3 are the one that is the best. It's Hammond organ with some saxophone and so on. It's actually not all that bad. It actually works. It's pretty good. By far the best thing that James Last released. So, and on that side, you have heard me saying that put a Hammond organ in almost any genre, and I'm right there. So, Ron, I hope that you had a great time with my response. I hope that you and everybody else have a real nice time, no matter where you are, no matter what you do. I'm going to come back very soon, maybe already tomorrow, the day thereafter, because it's end of the month, and you know what that means. It is vinyl and CD update time. So until next time, take care everybody, and so long.